Tennessee lawmakers this past year said they were dumbfounded by what's been called a calamity of issues that led to the murder of this Mississippi woman. Now these same lawmakers are considering new legislation to better regulate the GPS monitoring industry right here in Tennessee. Now, News Channel 5's Levi Ismail, if you've followed this, has followed this story from the beginning, had a chance to speak with one of these GPS companies about what it really takes to protect victims.
It's just before 5 a.m. on July 2nd when we see a man pacing back and forth just outside Lauren Johansson's home in Mississippi. The people who sent us this video said that was Bryson Rivers, and if you look close enough, you can spot what looks like a device attached to his ankle. Just moments after that, a car passes by. Minutes later, it comes back, but this time, the driver runs out in a hurry. It's not clear what the man was carrying on his way back, but hours later, deputies found Johansson's body in this car and tracked Rivers to the nearby woods.
I think there's just a general perception that GPS monitoring is easy. All you have to do is slap a bracelet on them and collect some money. And the people that do that, that's when things can go wrong.
Kristen Zachary watched the arrest unfold from a distance, but she knew this was the same Rivers who had just bailed out of a Nashville jail days earlier for allegedly beating up Johansson last December. We now know that had Rivers been released on bond maybe an hour earlier, there's a good chance Zachary's company would have been the ones responsible for making sure he stayed in Davidson County.
The judges spell out in the court order what they want to happen. A court order is our roadmap.
But that's exactly where some say this case.
This page here, this first page.
The front page, okay.
The front page of what you just brought me, I didn't see this.
Took a tragic detour.
He laid a piece of paper on the table. He told me to sign here.
Everything that followed this moment in the more than 4-hour-long court hearing earlier this summer always came back to the same question.
You just sign a blank order and put up blinders, and whatever happens, Brooke makes the bond.
Brooks Bail Bonding said they never saw this page recommending Tracking Solutions as the GPS provider. Either way, they assumed Tracking Solutions was closed by the time Rivers was released.
Did you contact Tracking Solutions?
I did not contact Tracking Solutions.
They instead had Nikita Wilhoit, one of their own bond agents who ran a GPS monitoring company on the side, install Rivers' GPS device and track his movements.
I just knew that it was a kidnapping charge. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything specific about the case.
Which could explain why she let Rivers leave for Mississippi against the court's wishes, but it didn't explain why nothing was done after she realized the mistake and convinced him to come back to Nashville. Brooks Bill Bonding told News Channel 5 Investigates that this is the car Rivers appeared in when he drove back from Mississippi and met Wilhoit, the same type of car seen outside Johansson's home the day of her murder.
He led me to believe that he was going to still stay here in Nashville.
Wilhoit told the courts that she was operating as a GPS monitoring company and not a bond agent. So she didn't think she had the authority to stop Rivers from leaving in a vehicle that would soon become a crime scene. Months later, and lawmakers said they were dumbfounded by the idea that this was the first time anyone realized there was a potential conflict of interest.
They were well aware by that time that there's been a violation, yet nobody turned them in at that point, and that is extremely concerning.
Bail lobbyists said that they were just as concerned with the idea that Wilhoit may have been incentivized not to turn in Rivers, which they admit is a problem when the person paid every day Rivers wears a GPS device says nothing to the boss that could have sent Rivers back to jail for violating his bond.
You now know that he was here on 6/29, right?
I now know, yes, sir.
And did she call and let you know that?
She did not, Your Honor, no, sir.
But there's inherent conflict when a bail agent has a monitoring company. I'll probably be fired for saying all this.
Lobbyists estimate that as many as 10% of bond companies in Tennessee also run their own GPS monitoring, but say if one thing is clear, it's that something needs to change.
Us as a provider, we're very flexible and we're here to meet the court's needs.
Zachary says that no matter what we've seen elsewhere, they do what's necessary to keep victims safe, and the proof is right in front of us.
Now there is something that can add an extra layer of protection for a victim.
But protecting victims is a relatively new challenge, where in years past, it's been all about tracking suspects. New first-of-its-kind laws in Tennessee now say some of the most dangerous domestic violence offenders need to be kept away from victims using this type of technology.
The way it works is that both suspects and victims are given devices that are monitored 24/7. The moment they get close to one another, that's when they're told to go their separate ways. Well, if they get too close, that's when law enforcement gets involved.
The new year could bring new changes for the industry by creating a uniform standard for all monitoring companies. This could mean more watchers for the watchers, but Zachary says it's important not to lose sight of what this resource is capable of when it's not about the money. Because it's no longer enough to know where suspects are. You must be willing to do something if it means saving lives.
Thank you, Levi. One option lawmakers are considering is to have a state agency and not each county provide oversight of GPS monitoring companies. Lawmakers say they're going to present this and many other suggestions in the next legislative session. Meanwhile, Zachary says they've adjusted their hours at tracking solutions to help accommodate when someone bonds out of jail later than expected.